Okay, welcome to Lionesses of Africa and this month's focus on women in tech. Today I'm speaking to Nkemdilim Begho, the renowned and innovative techpreneur behind the success of Futuresoft software resources in Nigeria. Nkemdilim, thanks very much for joining us at Lionesses of Africa today. You're very welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start by telling us a little bit about your own entrepreneurial journey. What first inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
So I think that it's more or less twofold. One is, Nigeria is a very entrepreneurial country, so a lot of people run their own businesses, and that kind of already creates entrepreneurship as a very viable, career path. So it's not only, okay, after college, you go and get a job. There are a lot of people who, after college, start their own businesses. People run multiple businesses. Everybody has, even people who are employed have a so-called side hustle. So they all have, some other business on the side that they're running successfully most of the time.
Okay.
So obviously that is very, very, motivational and also makes it seem possible, because I think for a lot of people wanting to start their own business, they're scared that, okay, you know what, I'm going to fail. What if, I don't make any money and things like that. But obviously if everybody is doing it, then the barriers to entry are lower. And then on the other hand, I was working in a little startup which was focused on also in tech, and the guy who owned it, or one of the owners, he, wasn't as motivated as I would think a founder should be, because I feel a founder should be the one putting in the most hours and not the least. So that kind of, also pushed me, because I felt that I could, run a similar company or a different company, but, run something on my own and actually do a much better job.
And on that note, tell us a little bit about your company, Futuresoft.
Okay, so Futuresoft is an IT service company focused on 3 areas, which are online solutions. So that covers website development, corporate branding. We also do social media management and online newsletters. And then there's IT security, which is basically focused on the security of networks, of servers, and things like that. And then there's the e-learning arm of our business, whereby we focus on corporate e-learning as well as educational e-learning.
And actually, the e-learning is something that I'm really interested to hear more about, because obviously you probably have an eye on looking to empower the next generation of young, innovative techpreneurs in your country and across Africa. Tell us a little bit about how that e-learning might actually empower them.
Okay, so I mean, everybody that knows me also knows that I'm very passionate about education. I always tell people that whatever knowledge you have, that's the only thing that nobody can take away from you. Yeah. And they can take everything else, but your knowledge is 100% yours. So education is something that I feel is very, very important, especially in Africa, especially in terms of building the workforce of the future. At the moment, everybody is looking at Africa and everybody is saying, oh, that's the next frontier, and there's a lot of foreign investment, but our people are not ready. So there are a lot of foreigners coming into our countries, doing jobs that we could actually do if we had better educational systems and better educated people. And I think that technology can actually really, leapfrog the educational system ahead. And, that's where e-learning kind of comes in, whereby no matter where you are, you can actually learn, you can video conference, you can, you basically use technology to share knowledge across borders. So even where you have traditional or religious barriers, where girls can't go to school, you can still basically access the education and get educated from your home and be able to actually contribute towards society. And I think that that's, the main thing and the most important thing, for any person to be able to contribute to society in a positive manner.
Absolutely. And particularly what's interesting is the growth of women entrepreneurs across Africa. And I'm quite interested to see what the growth pattern of women entrepreneurship is in a place like Nigeria at the moment. I mean, what are the challenges for aspirant women entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs in Nigeria right now?
Okay, so I mean, I think that the main challenges, are just the same challenges that women all over the world face, that we second guess ourselves and, always think that we're not ready to actually, run a business and, set up a business. Obviously, in a more traditional, context like you have in Nigeria, there's also, the role of the woman is still very traditional. So, you're supposed to cook and clean and, look pretty for your husband. But there are more and more women who, for them that's not enough. And, they are working very, very hard and, they're making amazing impact. And I think that also, having those kind of role models in society, and, there are ladies who are 60 that are making an amazing impact. There are ladies who are 40, there are ladies who are 20. And, being able to see that the African woman is a strong woman. And even traditionally, the African woman has actually always, worked very, very hard, because when you have to go very far to get water, you have to go very far to get food, so that turns you into a very hardworking person. And I think that background has also helped, obviously with a more modern society where, now we don't have to walk so far to get water anymore. But, that mindset is still there. And there are a lot of women who are, they're providing for their families and, they're making things happen. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that. But in terms of the barriers, obviously there's still, the boys' society, the old boys club, and especially in fields like technology that are very male dominated. There are some others. I mean, if you talk to women in finance and banking, they'll say the same thing, that there's almost like a glass ceiling, and you can't get through that glass ceiling unless you, work maybe 10 times as hard as your male counterparts. So I think with time, these barriers are definitely going to, be broken and are not going to be there anymore. But in general, I think it's us ourselves that we, are not courageous enough, and we're not, go-getters enough. And we second guess ourselves. So we have a lot of doubts because we feel that, it has to be perfect, and, we have to wait until everything is, in place. But, men don't do that. And it's the same thing in your normal career path. A guy will apply for a job that he has no qualifications for. A woman won't, because she feels like, I don't have the qualifications, so if I apply for it, I'm actually a liar. But a guy will say, when I get there, if I get the job, then I can figure out how to do it, right?
Sure.
So I think we need to, just really push ourselves more and believe in ourselves more and our abilities.
Do you think that the tech sector is one that is particularly embracing of young aspirant women entrepreneurs that maybe want to and see an entry point for themselves?
I think the tech sector is open to everyone. I always feel that no matter what you want to do, if you really have the passion for it, then just go for it and do it. And I think with technology, once you have an understanding of it, everything else, and you have the passion for it, then everything else becomes very, very simple. And it really doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, as long as you actually know your stuff. So I think that the knowledge that you require for the tech space is obviously a lot, but once you have that knowledge, I don't really see any kind of barriers. And a lot of men, they're always happy. They're like, oh wow, okay, maybe it's just two women, but if as long as they are good and they can have the same conversations that they would have with, let's say, a male developer, then they have no problem. They're even happy that they can get other viewpoints, because women sometimes know more about the consumer market, or because they're the ones buying things most of the time. So the perspectives that women bring into the tech space are very, very broad. And I think that, in order to create any kind of sustainability within the industry, we definitely need more women to come into the industry. And this doesn't need to be in a core tech role. Nowadays the tech space is so vast, and you can be a content creator, you can do social media management, and you still do tech stuff, and you learn more and more tech stuff as you do your job. But at the end of the day, you might not necessarily be a programmer or, you know,
Sure.
I don't know, a database developer or something like that. So, or a system engineer. So I think that there's a softer side to tech that is also very appealing to women. And I think the best thing about technology is that you can work from anywhere, which for women obviously brings a lot of flexibility. So that is something that, you know, anyone that's looking to go into tech, think about that, because you can be in your pajamas at home if you want all day. Your kids can be running around and you can still do your job and nobody would ever know because everything is basically on your computer. So I, you know, when I tell my clients, oh, I'm going on holiday, they say, oh my God, no, you can't. And I'm like, oh no, don't worry, I'm going with my laptop. I have my little office with me, so don't worry, you will still get your responses. You know,
and that's quite empowering. I mean, I think again, you touched on something that's really quite interesting. A lot of women might not have considered just quite how liberating doing something in the tech sector might be. That you can actually combine it with the more traditional roles in your life that you have to fulfill and have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot, especially if you work maybe as a freelancer. So there are a lot of freelancers that they work from home. They're still doing other things on the side. And, you know, they just have that freedom that technology and, you know, the internet actually brings, you know, because you don't need to be in a physical location to deliver a job. And I mean, with a lot of outsourcing going on, we can really see that, you know, in the future, your location is not going to be important. It's your skills, you know, and what you can bring to the table that's really important. And everything else, you know, we can talk on Skype, we can send emails, we can do phone calls, video conferences, whatever it is. And that, you know, one-on-one interaction becomes less important. And it's actually, we have other ways of communicating. And I think that's the beauty of technology. And for women, to me, you know, it gives a lot of flexibility because if you work, I don't know, in the bank, you know, you have to be there. You can't just say, oh, today I'm going to, you know, collect checks at home. It's not going to happen. You know?
Sure. I mean, and also, I mean, just finally, what advice would you give to aspirant women entrepreneurs, not just in your country, but across Africa, that are maybe they have a germ of an idea, they've had something that they've been wanting to do for a very long period of time, and maybe have not had that courage that you talked about earlier, and yet they're hearing you speak right now, and they're seeing other women around them potentially putting a toe into the entrepreneurial water. What advice would you give them?
My advice is just start, and start now. Because at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? You can fail, great. But everybody fails, everybody makes mistakes, everybody learns from their mistakes. The most important thing is when you do fail, get back up and, you know, just keep going. And I think another advice is don't be afraid. And make sure that, you know, you research whatever it is that you want to do. Make sure that you actually know what you want to do and you have a plan. I think a plan is really important, but don't wait, you know, 5 years for the plan to be perfect, because the plan is never going to be perfect. And even the best plan, at the end of the day, you know, you start executing it and you'll realize that it needs to be tweaked, that it needs to be changed, because especially if your product or service is focused on the consumer market, it means that the consumer market will dictate how your product or service is going to evolve. So you can have mighty plans for it going in, you know, the right direction, and then, you know, the consumer market says, hey, we want to go left instead of right, and, you know, then you have to change your plan. So at the end of the day, you know, you just need to start. And also another piece of advice, start small, start as small as you can. Have a minimum viable product that, you know, it might not be great, but it works. I actually read this really cool quote, and it says, if you're not ashamed of your first product that you put out there, then you've waited too long. Yeah. So, you know, and when I read that, you know, it really resonated with me, because a lot of the things that I worked on, I waited too long, you know. And then other people came out and they did it much quicker. Their products were crap, but they just had that first mover advantage. And, especially in Africa, I think that really, really means a lot, to actually move quickly. So if you have a fantastic idea, the time is now. Start today.
Perfect. And finally, this Sunday marks International Women's Day. And the theme this year is Make It Happen. If there was one message that you could give to women entrepreneurs across Africa as to what they could do to contribute to making it happen for other women entrepreneurs, what would it be?
I think definitely it would be making sure that you always look back down and pull other women up, because that's what the boys do. And we need to stick together. We need to, empower women. So when you build a business, make sure you hire women, make sure you train women, make sure you empower women. And when it's time for them to go, let them go and let them spread their wings so that they can do the same thing for other women as well.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you so much. And Nkemdilim Begho, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for taking the time with Lionesses of Africa. And good luck with Futuresoft going forward.
Thank you very much.